to just start off by asking you sort of the basic questions
Sure.
that people ask. So tell me, where you...
Turn my phone down. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
My phone definitely will start ringing.
Put
So.
your, yeah,
Okay, cool.
we're gonna make sure that we stop at 12:30. So tell me, where are you from? Where are you from?
I was born in Harvey, Illinois. I was raised in Robbins, Illinois.
Oh, really? And when's your birthday?
February 17th, 1970.
1970. Where'd you go to grammar school?
Went to grammar school. It's called Colmar School. It's in Midlothian. Yeah.
Is that close to Harvey
It's
or
just
Robbins?
it's south of Robbins. Yeah.
Gotcha. And where'd you go to high school?
It's called Shepherd. It's in Palos Heights.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So is Palos Heights close to?
It's just south of Oakland.
Okay.
So it's just southwest suburbs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So those are important Chicago questions. You have to start off everything you do with where you went
Yeah,
to high
no,
school.
I get it.
Where
I
you
get it. I get
people
it.
don't care if you went to Oxford, right? They just want to know
exactly.
where you went to high
Exactly.
school. And so you own these spaces?
Mhm.
Are you owner
Mhm.
proprietor of these
Yeah.
spaces?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So we're going to sort of transform to music.
Sure.
So your first, what you remember about your interaction with music, sort of as a very young person.
Sure,
What do you
sure.
remember?
Music was always a big part of my life. So my uncle played bass for Sun Ra. So that was like my first memory, was having this big, huge bass. And I remember seeing like this crazy outfits. My grandmother always talked about these crazy jazz musicians. That was like my first interaction was jazz.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, I was just checking it while
and
you
then,
were
so jazz was always like a big part of my household growing up.
Okay.
And then my father opened up a bar called Manny's Blue Room. So his first DJ was Herb Kent. And that was back in the late 70s, early 80s. And so step music was a big part of my life. So when I was a little kid, I would go down and work at his bar. So I just remember music was always playing. And then my sisters were into Stevie Wonder big time. So it was always Stevie Wonder playing and Gladys Knight. My mom cleaned the house up to Gladys Knight, Midnight Train to Georgia, all that stuff.
That's
So
cool.
it was just, music was always, so between my uncle, my father's bar, and my family, we just always played music, And then when I got in high school, this was like in the mid 80s, it was like the explosion of in Chicago, the intersection of house music and hip hop actually. Hip hop from a national, and at some point later on international, but at least national. And then house music being a bit hyper local. And listen to WBMX and the radio. I have two older sisters, so they would always tell me about this dude Frankie Knuckles and Ron Hardy. So I got really interested in like this house music thing. And once I heard on the radio, I had friends that started DJing around the block. And as a young kid, you got to get into some sort of music somehow, because the girls are like, if you're into music, either dancing. Oh my gosh, yeah. So either you're a dancer, you're a singer, you're a visual artist, or you're a DJ. So I couldn't do the other one, so like, let me learn how to DJ, And so I had a friend of mine he was a DJ, he was actually my cousin. And I saw him DJing one day, I'm like, man, I gotta learn how to do this. And he taught me how to DJ, and I just spent just every day in the house, just going out, buying records, and I started getting turntables. And I kind of got pretty decent on the turntables, this is like 84.
Okay.
And then I wanted to go out and hear, the real DJs, go see Frankie Knuckles, So I think maybe around 86, I first time I went to go hear him play. I was still in high school, and I went to the club, and I saw like, oh wow, this is different. And playing music in the house and on the radio is one thing, but going and experiencing it in a nightclub situation is totally different. It was people I'd never been around before, like older people, and like gay, lesbian, like just all kind of, folks doing drugs, like they were dressed up. It was just a whole different thing coming from this small town I was from.
Right.
It just really excited me. I wanted to kind of get more into the music and making the connection between the music and the people that were there and how they expressed themselves and how they actually enjoyed the music. I found it really interesting.
Hey, Laura?
So,
Yep. Yes? We're downstairs, Maida.
Okay. Yep, I'm gonna.
My car's being ticketed. Please do something. Okay, sorry about that.
So no, so anyway, so that was my experience until I was probably 18, which is this intersection of jazz, funk, soul, and me playing house music.
Gotcha. I'm going to go back a little bit. So, this project is about the map of Black Chicago social spaces.
Yeah.
And so when you mention little things, I'm always going to sort of have you unpack it a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
sure.
So where was your father's bar, Manny's?
Manny's Blue Room.
Manny's Blue Room.
It's in Robbins, Illinois.
So what was the address of Manny's Blue Room?
3911 Claire Boulevard. And it's funny, well, not funny now, but you probably heard about the news recently. There was a security guard that got murdered by a police officer.
Yes,
That's my father's bar.
Interesting.
Yeah,
He still owns the bar? Is it still his bar?
We technically, we doing it now. We sold it, but then something happened and they didn't pay all the money they owed us. Then the shooting came. They had to close the bar. They wound up giving it back to us. So our family still owns that bar. So my name is Emmanuel Eric Williams. So Manny's was my father, Emmanuel.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
you know that the shooting when they killed the security guard? That's our family's bar on Robbins. Yeah. So that's why I grew up listening to music.
Are you a junior?
No, I'm not a junior. I'm Eric Emmanuel. He's Emmanuel Williams. My mom didn't want me to be a junior.
Okay.
So she taught CPS. So Robbins is just almost on the border of Chicago. Yeah. So she taught school next to Prince Julian. But it was a grammar school called Cone School.
Gotcha.
So she didn't want me to go to public school in the city. So that's why we live out in the suburbs.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So do you know the Richardson family? I know a lot of Robbins
Robbins?
people. Yeah, we'll go. Okay, so you also mentioned, so Manny's Blue Room is on Claire Boulevard?
Claire Boulevard.
Claire Boulevard.
CLAIRE.
ARE. So we have to make sure that that's on our map. And we have
Yeah.
pictures of that.
Manny's is
any artifacts that you may have, earliest leases or earliest paperwork
Oh, I'm sure we
about
got
that?
all kind of stuff.
We would love that for the map. Forgive me.
No,
So,
but I mean, Manny's is like, if you ask people in the South suburbs about Manny's,
they know Manny's.
Everybody knows Manny's.
Gotcha.
Because we had the only 4 o'clock license in the whole South side / South suburbs.
Interesting.
So I think from like 87th Street, 79th Street to Harvey Country Club Hills, when those bars all closed at 2 o'clock, they'd all go to Manny's.
Interesting.
So that's what we're known for, like this late night spot.
What years did you, how old were you when you started working in there?
I was probably 7, 8 years old.
Wow, what were you doing?
Cleaning up. I was, it's funny, I rode past this truck and it said recycling out in Harvey. I saw people taking money to the recycling truck and getting money for these cans.
Okay.
I go to the bar, I see them just throwing the cans in the garbage can. I'm like, Dad, you ain't, He's like, if you want to do it, go ahead. So I started crushing cans and that was my first job. I was probably 8, 9 years old. I was making money.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So you have 2 older sisters?
Mm-hmm.
Any other siblings?
No, just 2 older sisters.
And what are their names?
Holly and Dawn.
And how old are they?
Holly is,
What years were they born, would you say?
I'm 49. Holly's probably 53. Dawn's probably 55.
Where'd they go to high school?
Oh, with Shepherd. Oh, with
So
the
all
same
went to
race.
Shepherd. They all went to the same grammar school too?
Yep,
All
yep.
did the same things. And they were into Frankie Knuckles.
Holly was. My older sister wasn't. My second, Holly was big time. Yeah, big time. She's the one that got me to the party. So.
Gotcha. And so what do you remember about the first party? Where was that party? What was going on in there? How old were you two?
I was probably 16, 17. I actually saw Ron Hardy before I saw Frankie Knuckles. I remember that.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you heard about both of them, but Frankie obviously had a bigger name.
Right.
And when I'm going to, it was on Michigan Avenue. And I went with this girl I liked. She lived in Evanston. Took the train all the way to Evanston. Came back, went all the way down to 22nd to Michigan. I just remember going and it was just like this chaotic. It was chaos. I remember that. It was just like people dancing and music was playing backwards and it was like super loud. And
What year is that again if you were 15?
it's probably 87.
87. Okay.
87, 88.
Gotcha.
Around that,
87,
88. So I was probably 17, 18 actually. I just remember I was having a good time. I remember just like the energy in the room, And so that was my first time hearing him. And then when I go hear Frankie, it was different. It was like the crowd seemed to be a bit older. It was definitely like more gay men. The music was a little bit slower, but the energy was just different. It was just like a little bit smoother. I actually enjoyed that more. The Ron Hardy part was like too wild for me. It was too much energy.
Right.
I didn't really like it. It was like it was a little too street. Frankie was like a little dressed up a little bit more. They had a little, it was like a little bit more sophisticated.
Interesting.
It was the most sophisticated part.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that more.
When I think about Frankie Knuckles and his opening acts, which were Mike Winston and Craig, when you hear Mike spin, you should listen to any of his SoundCloud. It's very chill.
Yeah.
So to me, the crowd can't get more crazy. Like it's so chill. It's like
Right.
very soulful,
It's a groove.
very
It's a
it's like
groove.
just a groove. he never hypes you up. I guess he waited for Frankie to hype you up.
Exactly, he was the opening act.
Yeah, he's the opening act, and I feel the same way with Craig. It's very chill. There's
Right,
nothing.
right.
There's no point where I'm like, you want to jump up and down and go crazy with
Yeah.
their sets, and I
Yeah.
feel like they still spin the same way. Like, and sometimes now they're the main act, but
Exactly.
they still very smooth. They never
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it
yeah,
out,
yeah.
which is I always find kind of interesting. What was the girl's name that you went to see in Evanston?
Polly Morgan, never forget her name.
Holly Morgan. You know, you don't know where she is?
She lives in, I do know she's there. She's in South Shore now.
Interesting. Okay,
And
so
by the way, so Craig Lofton, talking about Craig Lofton, right?
Yeah.
He actually, he does interior design. He did some design for my father's bar. So he helped design a bar. We did it about 5 years ago,
oh, just now?
recently.
I had no idea he was interior designer.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff with Frankie.
Right, well, he did sound. I
He
knew
did
he did
sound,
sound
but he
design.
also
I
did
didn't know he
like,
did
oh
interior
yeah,
design.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've never known that.
Yeah.
I would have never known that. That's interesting. Okay, so you heard Ron Hardy. What club was that? you
So
went
that
to?
must have been, I forgot, was that the Power House? I guess that was. It was on 20, whatever one on 22nd in Michigan.
Gotcha.
So it was that.
22nd in Michigan. And then you saw Frankie. Where'd you see Frankie?
I can't remember the first time I saw Frankie, honestly. I know I saw him later. It must have been at Coconuts. Because I think Ron Hardy played AKA. So they were kind of cross street from one another. So it must have been Coconuts.
AKA. Interesting.
Because I think Ron played at AKA, Frankie played at Coconuts. Yeah.
That is very interesting. Maybe I saw them. I don't consider myself being able to have heard Ron Hardy, but I went to Northwestern and I was always at AKA's and Coconut, so I might have heard them and didn't know.
They were
him.
definitely there. They were
Yeah,
definitely there.
that's
Yeah, for sure.
interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
There was a male stripper night at AKA's.
Right.
That's what I remember. Who knows who the DJ was? All right. So you had a keen sense of sort of house music, but all music to a certain degree.
For sure, yeah.
And you said you started to DJ. Your cousin helped you DJ. What's your cousin's name?
George Woods.
How old was he?
George must be a year or two older than me.
Did he go to your high school, or where did he go to high school?
He did, and he became my father's bar at Manny's. He became his DJ at Manny's for 30 years.
Whoa.
He just left it like a couple years ago. Literally from the time he played in high school until like a couple years ago. All he did was DJ.
We need to talk to him.
Yeah, he's a music guy, so
I
yeah.
would love to talk to him and see his artifacts, because he must have a bunch
Oh,
of
he
stuff
got
with his
all
name
kinds
on it.
I actually have a Ron Hardy slip mat from the music box. I have it.
We want to take a
great-
picture.
Yeah, I have it. I have it framed.
Gotcha.
It says Ron Hardy music box, and I saw an old photo of it back in whatever it was, 80 something, and
Okay.
you can see it in the photo. It's the same thing. So it's
Shut up.
a verified.
Oh, we need to
slip
use
mat.
that in a thing. So you know the artifacts that the Dance Music Foundation has are in the Smithsonian.
Oh wow.
And so we also have our own repository that's shared with the Shorefront Legacy Center in Evanston. And
Okay.
Shorefront, if you know anything about Evanston, this guy has an award-winning repository of North Side Black people, so North Chicago, so all the way up to
wow.
Glencoe. He's preserving the Black existence in
Oh,
these
wow.
places. So it's really interesting. So we would love that, but I know that's really important. I'm sure that's special.
Yeah,
but at
yeah.
some point, maybe we could use it in an
Yeah,
exhibit.
sure.
But so that's really cool. So you had a Ron Hardy thing. That's all. So your cousin taught you how to DJ. Where did he do that? Where were you learning how to DJ?
It's a funny story. I was walking past. He had a basement. And like you have like the window on the ground floor. I'm walking past. I heard his music. And I saw him there DJing. He was just in there. He was cutting up. He was playing hip hop actually.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, teach me how to do this. So I went to his basement, learned his basement.
Gotcha.
And later on, like as a DJ, your one goal is to get 1200s. Like you can get other kind of turntables, but you want to get technically 1200s is like the gold standard of. So I went out and bought some like cheap turntables for like $50, whatever they were, and they weren't the same, you know.
Right.
And at the time, I worked at Taco Bell, and I was working to save money to buy some 1200s.
Okay.
That was my whole goal. So I'm getting 1200s, and I just was in my house, my mom's house, and it was a way to keep us out of trouble. She was like, "Boy, turn that music down." I'm sure that's the story that every DJ's mom
Yes,
has.
exactly.
But I think she liked the fact that I was in the house and I found something I really was passionate about.
Right.
My friends would come by. We weren't doing any drugs. I mean, we would just play music. I mean, all day long. So it was like my passion was playing records. And I started to go and buy a lot of records. So I would go down to, what's this big record store?
Virgin downtown,
No,
or
no,
went to
no.
Gramophone, or
Not Gramophone. The one that we all went to.
on Plymouth Court?
On Plymouth Court.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
What's it
Now
called?
you're making me lose. I can't remember. Yeah, we know it. I'm just talking
Yeah.
about
On Plymouth Court.
that.
So I started going down there, and it was like, that was like heaven to me. Like around this record store, and everybody's like buying records, and you would hear some played, and you would see a DJ you heard on the radio from the Hot Mix 5 or something, or you would see Frankie in there. It was just like this place. It was just like, it just felt so good, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was like, and Loop Records. Loop Records, and what's the main one?
Imports,
etc.
Yeah, et cetera.
Imports, etc. Yeah, Imports. Yeah, so to go to Imports is just like the best place ever.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. So that's really interesting. I'm going to go back and forth just because I want to catch some things and we're going to run out of time. But so you learned in your cousin's basement.
Right.
Where did he live?
In Robbins.
In Robbins as well?
Yeah.
So I think Chicagoans, some Chicagoans, so I'm a little older than you, not much, but I'm a little older than you. We're always curious about what was happening in the south suburbs as it pertains to house music.
Yeah,
And so we tend to talk to a lot of people about what that scene was for you. Because we know, you were doing some things in the suburb, this downtown.
Yeah.
Clearly you were traveling and going downtown. I'm so happy we came down here because we wouldn't have heard anything upstairs.
Right.
So what was that scene like? Who were the people doing things that you remember? Who are the people in the scene in the south suburbs? And when were you able to really sort of party in the south suburbs?
I would say Hula, High Hands Hula. You know High Hands Hula?
Yeah.
He lived in Harvey, I believe. And Liddell Townsend lived out there too. I can't remember. It was definitely some folks out in Harvey, I would say, more so than Robin. So my first party I threw in 1985, probably, at the Robbins Community Center. And Time and Jack had just come out. I remember that. And I had a copy of Time and Jack. I was so happy. And I played that record. People just went crazy. It's Time and Jack and his house. That was his house.
Okay, yeah.
And I was Chip E. And I remember playing that record. So that must have been 85. Yeah. And so, man, it was just amazing. I had this little party. And we had little house parties up there. Partly because we heard the music on the radio on BMX. So that was probably the main connection. Then you had some people who were actually going out to the parties too. So then as we got older in high school, you had these the people who would get on the train and go downtown went to go hear Ron Hardy and Frank Knuckles. And they would come back like, man, he's going to the party now. So it was like kind of a big thing. These people would venture out and go to the party. So.
Okay, so 1985, you threw a party. Where'd you throw that party?
At the Robbins Community Center.
At the Robbins Community Center. Where is that?
It's still there. It's on, I forgot. I think it's Richland. Don't quote me. It's out of Robbins.
Okay,
it's still there.
How'd
It's a gymnasium that you can rent out to do different things.
So why did you decide to do that? Why are you just going to rent a place? Did you have to rent that, or someone gave it to you?
I had to rent it, yeah.
So why did you decide to do that?
Because I was always like an entrepreneur. So my father had a bar,
Okay.
and I just had a spirit to just create my own thing. And I was starting to DJ. I'm like, I want to go play music now. I go make my own party.
Right.
And I knew a lot of people at the time, and so I just do a party.
Just did it. Huh?
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So who came to that party?
It was not well attended. You know what I mean? My first party, I must admit, the first party was, I don't know, it might have been 30 people came,
Yeah.
But I had a party, you know what I mean? That was my first time ever having a party. Made up a little flyer. And back
You
then,
have that flyer?
oh my gosh,
Somebody's got it.
I don't know. I would have to look for it.
Ask her.
But back in the day with a flyer, you put your phone up on the flyer.
You did, exactly.
You put your phone up on the flyer.
Call me, be there.
Right, so, we drew it with the graphic design. We would draw a flyer out.
Exactly.
Got somebody dancing with a little record on it. It was one of them kind of flyers. White paper flyers.
I'm one of those people who I want to see the artist, because there's some really beautiful things. Because anyway, there's a long story, but there's a lot of beautiful flyers out there.
Sure, yeah.
That Frankie Knuckles had his guy. I forget, he's a major artist who died. Do his early flyers.
Oh wow!
We have
yeah.
quite a few of those. We're like, this is serious. This is an art form. It should be exhibited.
Oh yeah.
So that's really cool. So 85, you start to throw your own parties, and then what happened from there? Did you continue to throw parties? They get bigger and bigger?
I started to get a little bit bigger. I really got into the music, and then I went to college, and I went to Northern.
Okay.
And my mom would not let me bring my turntables.
Interesting.
She was like, "You're gonna focus on studying, blah blah." So I went to Northern. It was like depressing. So that time I was coming back to Chicago a lot, going to parties then.
Mm-hmm.
So that was 88 through 91.
Okay.
And then they had a little house music scene at Northern.
Yeah.
what's his name? Jamie 326.
Okay.
I went to school with him.
Okay.
So he was a DJ. This guy named what's his name? Disco Diego, another guy who was at Northern. But mainly those were the main two, Jamie and Disco Diego. So Jamie's playing house music. So I'm like, oh, you playing house music? So we bonded over that.
Gotcha.
We're still friends to this day, you know.
That's awesome.
And so then I started coming back to the city. Then I transferred to UIC
Okay.
in 91, and then I was back in the city.
Right.
And then I was really going out there.
Yeah.
I started going to I can't remember any of these clubs. It's one called the Rialto.
Of course, right.
You remember that one?
Uh-huh.
They were all gay clubs.
Yeah.
If Stop and Drink, we would Stop and Drink. I would go Stop and Drink. I would go to the one. It was Mike Izubuku and Mike Winston.
Yeah.
Played at the one on Halsted. What was that one called?
I know you're talking about it. Yeah.
It was right on the bridge. It later became a Red No 5.
Right.
But before that, it was called something else. The North Side clubs, Medusas. I mean, I was just, Lil Lewis parties.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was in it.
You were there.
Yeah, I was in it. Like 5 days a week, you know.
Gotcha. Did you graduate college?
I did for UIC.
Very good.
Of course, yeah.
Sometimes you're like, I was partying. I had a lot of friends who were like, we were partying and drinking like school.
Well, the thing is I actually never drank.
Interesting.
Never. I mean, to this day, I still have some wine on there, but I never. Back then, I didn't drink anything ever.
Yeah.
I was just going to hear the music.
Exactly.
You know.
I think that's really interesting too, because I'm not a drinker either, but I love to party. I love to be in a lot of clubs.
Oh yeah.
But never had interest in drinking.
And I didn't drink because of my father's bar. I saw all of the nonsense that happened in my father's bar.
Interesting.
So I was like, that's
don't
road
need
to
to
nowhere.
do that, right,
Yeah,
exactly.
So I never really drank. So.
I wish we had more time to talk about your father and mother, but I'm going to move towards something you mentioned. So in the gay clubs, I'm really curious, and I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. I feel like the gay DJs, the gay people in house music, have a very interesting view of how other people saw them.
Interesting, yeah.
That's how I see it as we continue to
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
When you went to the gay clubs, was there an issue with going to gay clubs, or were you very cognizant that I'm going to a gay club?
Yeah,
What was going on? What were your feelings about going to gay clubs?
Well, my relationship with the gay community was, first of all, from a small town. So there was like this one gay dude that we knew. Like, he was out. I mean, he was very flamboyant.
Right.
So he's my friend from like 4th grade. Mm-hmm. So we had like this one gay guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then my cousin died of AIDS. So I had a relationship with gays from a family standpoint. But then to go out when the people, they were a little bit older too. So I'm 18, 17. These people are probably in their 20s, even at 30, some of them. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, plus I've been in the fashion too. So the whole gay community was about fashion also. So it wasn't foreign to me. But to be in a space where you saw like two dudes dancing and kissing, I was like, wow, this is it wasn't anything that really shook me anyway. I just, to see it up front was like, wow, people are free. These guys can actually come here and be themselves.
Right.
What I saw from the small town I was at, where the gay guy I knew, he was out, he was flamboyant, but he got cheese and doing stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is the place you come to get away from all that. And it's music. So it was like straight people, gay people, we were all there for one reason. So it didn't really matter at the end of the day.
Right, exactly.
I was never homophobic anyway. But I feel like even if people were there were homophobic, they wouldn't have really cared so much because the music was way more important than what two dudes were doing, what two people were doing.
Exactly.
So that was my time. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, and you out meeting dudes and they're even super nice to you.
Right,
okay, so
exactly.
kind of got embraced by the gay community in a way, So.
Gotcha. All right, so I'm just going to move to, how does a young man who is interested in music, you hinted on this a little bit, interested in fashion, how did that come about? You're interested in music. What was your major in college?
I majored in finance.
Finance.
So I was at Northern. I transferred to UIC. So now I'm right down the street from Maxwell Street. So I worked at Taco Bell at the time. My first year in college, I worked at Taco Bell making $3.35 an hour. I'm sure you remember that number. $3.35 an hour. So I had a friend, this guy knew he was a street peddler. He's like, I sell stuff on the streets. You can make money doing that. I'm like, what are you selling? He's like, oh, I'm selling T-shirts and roses and flowers and hats and bags and sunglasses. So you can make like $100 a day. And at the time, I was making $3.35 an hour. The most you're gonna make is $25 a day.
Right.
And I'm like, let me go try this. So he took me out to a KRS-One, a Stop the Violence concert in Douglas Park. Never forget. So we went there.
When was that? I'm gonna stop you.
That must have been 88. No. 88, yeah. It was the summer of 89. Summer 89,
okay,
yeah.
Cool. Go
It
ahead.
was my first year of college.
Uh-huh.
And so we went, and I had a wagon full of like stuffed animals and those like light up blinking flowers, like horrible stuff. And so I didn't have any money, you know. So I go out there, and he's like, "Man, sell the stuff, and I'll pay you 23% of what you sell." I'm a little nervous. I'm a street vendor. All these dudes, these are street dudes coming back. Man, how much is that stuffed animal for their lady? You know.
Right.
I'm like, it was like $50. It was kind of expensive. $50, man. He walked off. I was like, oh man. Happened three or four times. How much is that? $50. Baby, you want that? Yeah. Here you go. Oh, I never get my first sale. I'm like $50.
I know, that's amazing.
And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, I just made $10 from this.
Right.
I was only out here for half an hour. I was a math minor. It didn't take long to figure that out.
Right, exactly.
By the time the concert ended, I think I sold like $300, right? And so he gave me like $75 as a bonus. So I mean like $75 basically in like 3 or 4 hours.
Wow.
And that was it. So I quit. So I quit my Taco Bell job. Started being a street vendor.
Gotcha.
So I started selling stuff on the streets. Graduated. I got my finance degree. Series 7, selling securities, financial instruments, blah blah. I quit that. I hated it. Didn't have a job. Went back to street vending. I sold stuff on the streets for 10 years. Sunglasses, T-shirts, Million Man March. Went to the Jazz Fest in New Orleans. Freaknik T-shirts. I mean, Toronto, Carabana. I mean, I was traveling around the country selling stuff on the streets for 10 years. But I still was into the music. Still was into art. Still was into fashion. So I met this guy named Kendall who owned LitX. He met me on the street. Literally, I was on the street. I was selling stuff on the streets at the Blues Fest. He came by. He goes, "Hey, brother, man, I have a store. You want to put some of the stuff in my store? You're not selling on the streets." I'm like, "All right, cool." He gave me just to the store, one sheet of paper. I went to LitX. That's how I got to this neighborhood because of Kendall.
Gotcha.
But he met me downtown, and then
So tell me Kendall's full name.
Lloyd.
Kendall Lloyd.
Kendall Lloyd.
And where was LitX?
It's on the corner of Damon. It's North Avenue, Damon, and Milwaukee Avenue. It's right below. You know where Flash Taco's at?
Yeah.
It's right below Flash Taco.
I remember.
It's right there.
Oh, yeah. We need to know.
Okay, it's right below Flash Taco. Anyway, so I started, so I put stuff in that store, and I saw this whole new crowd of these like black bohemian dreadlocks, doing poetry, and reading these black books. So Kendall and I became pretty cool at the time, and he had all these books. So I was already kind of into the jazz and my uncle and these black books, and I kind of got really interested in that. At the time, you think about like late 80s, early 90s, there was this like resurgence of black culture with the African medallions and Spike Lee, Do the Right Thing, De La Soul, the dreads. So that's all happening around the same time. So it's all making sense to me now. So I got house music, and it's one thing. I got this hip hop influence. I got these black books I'm starting to read. I got jazz music, and I got arts and fashion. So, and I'm a street vendor, so I'm hustling. So that place was like where I got the idea to open up Silver Room, actually.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, okay. So I saw the people gathering in LitX, and Avery doing poetry, and but like they ain't making money. I'm a finance major. I'm a street dude. So the arts and culture is cool, but you gotta make money from this. And that's like, Kendall, man, this ain't gonna last. Never forget, this white guy came in the store. This was probably like 90. This time was probably 92, 93, 94, around that time. I just saw the neighborhood started changing a little bit. I was like, you can only sell so many BDs and so much incense and so many black books. These white folks ain't trying to buy that. So at the time, I was selling silver. I met an African woman in New Orleans who lived in New York who sold silver. So I helped her out. That's a whole other story, longer story. So I went to New York, and she told me where to get silver from. So I started buying silver, hoop earrings, necklaces, and I'm like, anybody can buy silver. It doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you size 16, if you're size 2. Women like earrings. Men like to wear rings. So I started to get up into this jewelry thing. Started traveling to Mexico, getting from Mexico directly, and then fast forward a few years later, I was in this neighborhood. I found a space. My first space was 1410 Milwaukee. And so when I opened the space up, I'm like, yeah, I gotta make some money. I'm gonna sell this jewelry, I'm gonna sell this stuff, but it's a place of culture also, because that was my background. So it's art, it's events, blah, blah. 21 years later, the store is still here, doing pretty much the same thing we did 21 years ago. It's been an intersection of commerce, art, music, fashion, etc., events, culture. So,
This is a great place to stop.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric.
No problem.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
I wish I could talk to you longer.
Yes, I had that. There's a longer version, but that's